and welcome to episode 34 of Real Estate TV. In today's episode, I am joined by Daniel Baxter on Zoom. We're going to have a Zoom call because where are you based, Daniel?
I'm in Brizzy these days, originally Sydney born and bred, but in sunny Brisbane at the moment.
Sunny Brisbane, enjoying your living room like everyone else.
In the home office today, so mate, I do most of our work out of these. Are pretty fortunate that way. So haven't been too impacted, I guess, by the working at home stuff.
Well, that's good to hear. And what do you do?
Basically what we do, we operate in the space of providing solutions for anybody that comes into contact with first home buyers. So your first home buyer is a target market that people come into contact with. What we do know is that market really well. We understand their fears, their frustrations, their aspirations, and that's what we aim to deliver in whatever we do with the companies that we work with. So we help out a lot of builders and property companies in the marketing space who want to help those first home buyers get into their first home and understand how they think and how they interact online, and we help them create marketing campaigns, to help them achieve more of those goals.
Fantastic. So you're less front-facing.
Absolutely, yeah. So we don't sell directly to the consumer. We build a lot of online products and IP that we include in our marketing processes and strategies to increase the value, but also increase or ensure that the customer experience is a better one than just selling to them. We feel like education plays such a key role in what people need these days to be able to make a decision. So that's what we want to help them achieve.
Yeah, okay, fantastic. So I've had a lot of first home buyers now reach out to me and ask me what I think is happening in the market, and the answer seems to be pretty much the same every time, and I typically say it's a bit too early to call. This property is a slow-moving beast, but we do have some information after the weekend. I know that Melbourne's clearance rate was 56% if you ask the REA, and 30% if you ask Domain. I feel like the REA's one's probably a little bit more accurate. But I guess I just wanted to get a sense of where you've seen things going. We haven't had much time to monitor it. I think the full force of COVID-19's really only started to impact businesses over the last 3 weeks, let's call it. So it might be a bit premature, but I just wanted to get a sense of where you have seen property over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's very early on in this process, and it's unprecedented. We don't know where it could head, how long it could last, what's happening. I think one of the conversations that keeps coming up for me is that definitely people feel more confident with property. It's one of those things, as in how?
Did you say they feel more confident now than before?
So not now than before, no, but they feel more confident in property maybe than other opportunities, other investments out there. So maybe whether that's the share market,
the
Bitcoin,
I understand.
Whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But property gives them that confidence that it's not just going to disappear overnight. That value is still there. And I think for the first home buyers in particular, if that's who we're going to be talking about mostly today, I think it's important to look at the sector of the market that controls what they do and where they buy. So, that market, say up to that 0 to 600,000 mark, it's pretty much, you think about it, 98% of the market who's looking at buying potentially a property can afford those properties up to that point, right?
Yep.
That's that buyer circle. That's that, So basically everyone out there who can afford property can afford those properties. As we move higher, that percentage comes down. Yep. So that's why obviously, the properties that are worth more money, maybe the 1.5 plus, more susceptible to price drops and things like that because there's just less buyers to prop it up if, things go bad. So that first home buyer end of the market is still always going to remain, relatively strong, I think. I mean, even if, say, prices were, worst case scenario, say the top end dips down, that, around that 500 range, takes a little bit of a hit. Like, how much hit is it going to take? I would imagine, maybe it takes 10 or 15 grand here or there. Not going to take long to make that up, right? Yeah.
So you don't reckon? Well, I guess this is a gut feel question, and it is difficult to answer because it's not like we had a pandemic 20 years ago that we can reference.
No.
This is all brand new water, and I think that's something worth keeping in mind. Everything that we talk about is theoretical because it hasn't happened. We don't have real data yet. But what do you reckon your gut is? I've seen in the papers and on Twitter journalists speculating that the property market will drop anywhere between 20 and 30%. What does your gut say? It's a tough question, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like that will happen. I mean, maybe at some of that, like I said, that really top end, just because it's going to be, obviously there's still, as far as, getting finance and stuff like that, that's still no easier. In fact, obviously it's been made a little bit harder. I'm not sure if you saw the news about QBE, regarding LMI and, them pulling it out as far as anybody who basically has a job where, you may be at risk of losing it through this period. So, they're basically pulling back on offering LMI to those clients. You basically need a 20% deposit. So that sort of thing is going to pull buyers out of the market, without doubt.
Yeah.
So there's some of those things happening. But as far as the price drop, 20 to 30%, overall, I don't think so. That's not what my gut tells me. But, as I said, mate, look, there's plenty of people out there, who are, probably smarter than me, but, I can only go on, the conversations I'm having, the confidence I feel that's still there within the market of the people I talk to. So, yeah, I don't see it.
Yep. Yeah, okay. Well, that's interesting. And I guess, how long do you think it would, if there was some sort of result, how long do you reckon the market would take to show that?
As in the drop, or
property's a slow-moving beast. Obviously, we don't have the answer today, and it's been 3 weeks. And I've had a lot of people ask me, well, when will you know? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and at the moment, what we're seeing right now is probably an element of fear buying. As in, this stuff is still pretty new. People are still a little bit freaked out and stuff like that. And they're buying out of fear because they just don't know what's going to happen. They want to make sure they can get into something, so they've got something. Which is probably a weird thing for some people to imagine when you're going through this. A lot of people's reaction is to pull back and just go, well, I'm going to hold up, just wait here and just see what happens. But then on the flip side, people panic. So I think there's a little bit of both going on. So we're still through that, I think, period at the moment. So maybe it's something where, you start to sort of see a bit more of it maybe in the next sort of 3 months. But I think it's going to be something that probably, has a bit of an after effect maybe for the next 6 to 9 months. Like, it's hard to imagine the market's going to grow by anything much in the next sort of maybe 6 to 9 months, maybe even a bit longer. It's probably, if anything, maybe she goes down a little bit and then, starts to just stabilise, and then, we start to get an increase again. But I wouldn't be surprised, once all is said and done, if once again, when we went through the mini slump sort of last year, then we got the good election results, things just went bang. It wouldn't surprise me if we get the same thing as long as the financial appetite of the lenders, has maybe relaxed a little bit as well.
Yep. Yeah, no, most definitely. I think it'll be interesting to see how the banks respond to this situation as well, because obviously they still want to put deals in. If it does sort of drop off even slightly and it sort of starts to show up on their reports, it'll be interesting to see how they respond and if they have some sort of product to stimulate a bit more activity. So that'll be interesting to see. I've got a question for you. If you were a first home buyer and you were about to push the button 3 weeks ago, would you still push the button, or would you sort of go, I'll hold off 3 months, just in case?
I would say it would depend on my situation. So if I knew I was in stable employment, really had a secure job, and look, it's one of those things for those people who are, now classed as an essential service, you are in a better position than you've probably ever been.
Correct.
As far as your confidence in your job moving forward, because now you're like, okay, well, cool. Even if I lost this job with this employer tomorrow, someone else will snap me up in no time at all.
Yep.
And you're now of an audience that the banks and the lenders, they want you more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Because no matter what the circumstances are, you're going to be someone we can rely on to pay your loan. So, you're really desirable as far as that goes. So if I was in that position, I think there's good buying out there for first home buyers right now.
Yep.
With less people in the market, less people able to do things, people sitting on their hands waiting, like those people you're saying, maybe waiting 3 months, maybe longer. There's a good opportunity for the people who are prepared, maybe with that finance ready, in a position to do something, to still move their life forward, which is buying that first home. And I think you've got more negotiation power too. You and I were chatting, it's common knowledge of numbers at, say, displays, and that obviously they've just stopped because people can't just walk through. They've got to ring up and make appointments. It makes that process harder. That means, if people are looking, say, at building a new home, there's more people who are eager to do that deal. The more people are eager to do it, then they're going to fight for your business. So you can put yourself in a really strong position to get a great deal. But on the flip side, if I wasn't in stable employment, or I was, really worried about maybe what might be happening. The truth is, you know what? It's probably been taken out of my hands anyway. We spoke about, the banks and that being wary of lending to people. If you are in a job where, maybe you've been sent home, you're off pay for a few weeks, you're not going to get a loan.
Yeah.
At the moment. And you wouldn't want a loan either, just as far as that risk factor goes, it's just too high.
Yeah. Yeah, no, most definitely. Well, that's really good, actually. That's all the questions I have. Have you got anything else you'd like to add? Any thoughts you've had over the last couple of days?
I think it's just more around just really getting clear on what your goal is. If your goal was this year to buy your first home and you're in a position to do it, is what we know is life is going to go on. This will be over with. People will get back to normal. You wouldn't want to see somebody put what is something you've been working so hard on. And aspiring to achieve, maybe back a year because they're just sitting back for no reason. Look, if you've got the right reason, you should definitely wait. You never want to put yourself in a bad position. But if you're ready and you want to do it, just keep investigating it. Make sure you've got great experts by your side, whether it be a finance broker, a property professional, helping, guiding you so you don't make silly decisions, and and so that you know that they've got your back if anything you're not sure of comes up.
Yeah, fantastic. And if anyone has any questions for you specifically, Daniel, how can they reach out to you?
Guys, our company is First Home Buyer Buddy, so you can email me at daniel@firsthomebuyerbuddy.com.au. Really easy. Otherwise, I'm on LinkedIn. You can obviously connect with me there, flick me a PM, put up a post, tag me, and I'll certainly help out if I can. So, no, mate, that's it, Andy. Appreciate it.
Fantastic. Not a problem at all. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was good to chat. Enjoy your couple of weeks in isolation, as I'm sure we all will. Stay home, keep your hands washed. Thank you so much for watching, guys. This has been episode 34 of Real Estate TV. Plenty more to come. So if you have enjoyed it, leave a comment down below if you've got some questions. I'm going to pop Daniel's information down below too, so you can just click straight on the links. Thank you so much for watching and keep safe.